Welcome to the Napoleon Hill audio channel. Here we share valuable lessons in business and life. Please like and subscribe to receive notifications of our latest videos. There is a sleeping giant within you, silent, waiting, watching, bound not by chains of steel, but by thoughts of smallness. It stirs each time you dream of more, then fades as the world convinces you to be ordinary again. But tonight, that giant awakens. For 2 hours, you will let the wisdom that built empires and created fortunes wash through your mind like a tide washing away fear. You will fall asleep not to noise, but to law, the law that all greatness begins in thought, that every success is born first within the mind. You have lived long enough in the half-light of potential. You have waited for confidence to arrive, for luck to appear, for opportunity to knock. But opportunity does not visit the sleeping mind. Opportunity kneels before the man who is already awake. Tonight, as the world drifts into meaningless chatter, you will drift into creation. You will listen until these words echo not as inspiration, but as identity. You will awaken not to noise, but to purpose. For greatness is not something granted. It is something activated. You will not need to struggle to become it. You already are it. You simply need to awaken it. Understand this. The difference between a beggar and a millionaire is not intelligence, not luck, not birth. It is the state of mind. Every man possesses the same hours, the same soil, the same sun. But only the man whose mind believes in his power can command life to obey him. And that power, my friend, sleeps inside you now, waiting to be summoned. For the next 2 hours, I will speak directly to that sleeping mind, the subconscious, the hidden workshop of creation. It never rests, never argues, never doubts. It only obeys. It will receive every word you hear tonight as command. Each truth will plant itself deep within, taking root in silence, growing in darkness, until it bursts forth as confidence, faith, and direction. You will awaken with a new awareness that you are not a servant of circumstance, but a master of thought. The poor man says, "When I have money, I will think differently." The rich man says, "When I think differently, I will have money." That is the difference. That is the law. And that is what this night will awaken within you. You may have spent years doubting your power, rehearsing failure, reliving fear, repeating limitation. Your subconscious has memorized those patterns like a script. But tonight, that script will be rewritten. As you drift toward sleep, your conscious mind will relax. The gate will open, and these truths will enter freely. That wealth is a state of consciousness. That confidence is the byproduct of definiteness. That purpose creates magnetism. That faith is the most profitable investment a man can ever make. You will not simply hear these truths. You will absorb them. They will sink beneath thought and take command of habit. They will work while you rest. And tomorrow the results will begin. You will find yourself moving differently, deciding faster, believing deeper. You will begin to feel the quiet strength of a mind that knows where it is going. That feeling, that calm certainty, is the first sign that greatness has awakened. Do not underestimate what is happening as you listen. Every idea you hear tonight was tested in the fires of reality by men who built industries from nothing. Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, Schwab, they all began as dreamers. Ordinary men who learned to think extraordinarily. They understood what most never learn, that thoughts are seeds and the mind is soil. If you plant faith, you harvest fortune. If you plant doubt, you harvest delay. You have spent years watering the wrong garden. Tonight, that ends. For these 2 hours, you will feed your mind only success, only power, only truth. Every repetition of these laws will push weakness further away until it no longer recognizes you. Every affirmation will polish your belief until it gleams like steel. Every lesson will remind you that you are not here to chase wealth. You are here to command it through service, purpose, and definiteness. This is what it means to fall asleep to the mind of a millionaire. It is not greed. It is mastery. The millionaire mind does not beg for opportunity. It creates it. It does not measure life by what it receives, but by what it can give through intelligent effort. It does not dwell on fear, but on faith. It does not whisper, "What if?" It declares, "I will." And as these words pass through your mind, the same law that made fortunes for the great will begin to move for you. For law does not discriminate. It responds to belief, not background. It answers definiteness, not delay. So tonight, decide. Decide that this will be the night your mind changes forever. Decide that every word you hear will sink deeply and awaken power that no one can take from you. Decide that when you rise in the morning, you will not return to the man who laid down because he no longer exists. The new mind will not drift. The new mind will not fear. The new mind will not hesitate. It will act, it will believe, it will persist until all that it envisions becomes visible. This is the process by which all greatness is born. Thought, belief, persistence, realization. It begins with one decision: to awaken the sleeping mind. So listen closely now. Let every word guide you deeper into faith. Let every sentence carry you closer to rest. Let every law engrave itself into your subconscious until it thinks wealth automatically. For the next 2 hours, you are not merely listening. You are transforming. You are falling asleep to the noise of fear and awakening to the rhythm of power. You are entering the same mental current that has carried all great men to success. You will awaken rich in confidence, rich in clarity, rich in decision. And from that wealth, all other riches will follow. Now, let go. Close your eyes, fall asleep to greatness, and awaken to the mind of a millionaire. Part 1. The Hidden Workshop of Wealth. Every fortune begins in silence. Long before the gold appears, long before the plan is spoken, there is a moment when the mind conceives in quiet what it will one day command in form. It is there, in the hidden workshop of thought, that all riches are first manufactured. The outer world is only the reflection of an inner one, the shadow cast by invisible law. A man's mind is the only estate he truly owns. Lands can be seized, titles lost, fortunes squandered, but thought remains the one property no power on earth can confiscate. Yet most men leave this divine estate barren. They let weeds of doubt and fear overrun the soil where faith and definiteness should grow. Wealth belongs not to possession, but to preparation, to the man who tends his inner field with discipline. There exists within every person a silent giant, a sleeping force awaiting direction. It is called the subconscious mind. It knows no fatigue, feels no doubt, and accepts no argument. It takes every thought you permit and works day and night to bring it into reality. It is the invisible architect of your destiny, the unseen builder of your fortune. But like any builder, it can only construct from the blueprints you provide. The drifting mind sends mixed designs, confusion in, confusion out. One day you dream of success. The next you whisper fear. You command abundance, then contradict it with hesitation. The subconscious does not judge. It obeys. If you think poverty, it builds limitation. If you think prosperity, it builds opportunity. The law is exact. As within, so without. This truth is too simple for most to believe. They wait for outer conditions to change, never realizing they are the condition. They hope for wages to rise, for luck to turn, for chance to favor them. But the world does not pay for hope. It pays for definiteness. Until thought becomes ordered, fortune cannot. Every rich man has first been a man of inner wealth, a mind organized around a clear and burning ideal. Andrew Carnegie once said that long before he earned a single dollar, he had already seen himself surrounded by abundance. As a poor boy in Scotland, he would walk home from the factory with his imagination full of palaces, libraries, and enterprises. He pictured them so vividly that he could feel their presence. The world called it daydreaming. Law called it direction. That image became his silent command to the subconscious, and life, obedient to law, arranged the steps to fulfill it. This is the difference between idle wishing and mental construction. The wishful man hopes vaguely and quits early. The constructor thinks deliberately and persists until the unseen becomes seen. Wishing is emotional weakness. Thinking is spiritual strength. Wishing depends on luck. Thinking depends on law. The man who thinks in pictures of abundance plants definite seeds in the soil of the subconscious. With time and repetition, they must germinate. Wealth is not money. Money is only the shadow cast by inner order. True wealth is the organized state of mind that knows where it is going and commands its forces accordingly. It is thought arranged by purpose, faith disciplined by law, and emotion purified by self-control. The millionaire mind is not measured by coins, but by command, the ability to hold a definite picture long enough for the world to obey it. The poor man often laughs at this idea. He says, "How can thought alone produce wealth?" He cannot see that thought is the seed of every creation he uses. Every house, every machine, every bridge began as a silent image in a man's mind. Nothing exists in the physical world that was not first a mental picture. The subconscious is the divine womb of all invention, all advancement, all success. If the mind is the factory of wealth, then repetition is its machinery. The thought you repeat most becomes the pattern your subconscious mass produces. One moment of enthusiasm means little. The steady pulse of belief means everything. The poor man thinks sporadically, hoping for chance. The rich man thinks rhythmically, knowing that law never fails. Repetition is faith in motion. To awaken your own hidden workshop, begin each morning with a mental command and end each night with repetition of faith. Upon waking, declare to yourself, "My mind is the factory of my fortune. I think in order, I act in faith, and all that I imagine shall take form." Say it with feeling. The subconscious responds not to words, but to vibration. Then before sleep, repeat the same truth until drowsiness carries it into the deeper mind. Do not underestimate this act. The hours before sleep and after waking are the golden gates of creation. In those moments, the conscious mind is quiet, and the subconscious is most receptive. What you impress upon it during these sacred hours becomes the pattern of your days. Feed it fear, and fear returns. Feed it faith, and fortune responds. Understand that the subconscious is not sentimental. It will build prisons as easily as palaces, depending on the blueprints you hand it. It holds no opinion on good or bad, only on clear or confused. The universe does not reward complaint. It rewards command. Each thought you think is a decree. Each feeling you dwell upon is an order written upon the invisible ether, and every order must be fulfilled. Carnegie's story reveals this precision. When asked how he built his empire, he said, "I never doubted that I could. Doubt is the only poverty that cannot be cured by money." Faith, rightly used, is capital in motion. The moment he fixed his vision, life conspired to make it real. Men appeared, circumstances aligned, opportunities unfolded. To the unseeing, it looked like luck. To the wise, it was law. Most men exhaust their power in conversation, emotion, or worry. They scatter mental energy as one would scatter seeds on rock. The wise man collects his thought and directs it. He speaks little, thinks deeply, and acts surely. His silence is not emptiness, but concentration. Those who meet him feel his composure. They sense his inner government. Such a man does not chase wealth. He attracts it because order recognizes order. Imagine for a moment two minds. One restless, one definite. The restless man wakes with anxiety, shifts between desires, and talks of what he will do but never begins. The definite man wakes with purpose, speaks with calm, and does not reveal his plans until they are formed. The world resists the first and assists the second. Law itself seems to bend toward definiteness. You may ask, how does one create such calm? The answer is practice. The subconscious learns through repetition. If you feed it one definite thought daily, a thought of faith, wealth, or purpose, it will soon believe it without question. And what the subconscious believes, the outer world must mirror. The secret of greatness lies in training thought as an artist trains his hand, patiently, deliberately, until mastery replaces motion. The poor man looks for ways to earn more. The wise man learns to think better. For thought governs earning. When the mind vibrates with definiteness, it draws to itself ideas, people, and events in harmony with that vibration. Opportunity does not come by accident. It is magnetized by the man whose mental current is strong and steady. This is why the richest men seem lucky. Fortune merely follows their mental order. You, too, may become such a magnet, but you must pay the price of discipline. Each time you allow worry to rule you, you reverse the current. Each time you indulge in gossip or fear, you scatter energy that should be building. Hold to your mental image with calm certainty, and soon it will hold to you. The man who learns to think deliberately saves decades of wasted labor. He does not chase temporary gain. He builds permanent wealth. His riches are not only of gold, but of peace, confidence, and control. When he walks into a room, others feel something, the invisible assurance of a man who knows where he is going. That assurance is worth more than any fortune, for it commands all fortune. If you have struggled for years and seen little result, look not to the world, but to your workshop. Ask, what designs have I given my subconscious? Have I built confusion or conviction? Have I repeated doubt more than faith? The world has obeyed you faithfully, though perhaps not as you intended. The remedy is simple. Issue new orders. Begin tonight. As you drift into rest, repeat these words slowly. I think in riches, I act in law, I command as creator. Let them sink beneath thought, into the realm where all creation begins. Imagine your mind as a quiet factory, its machinery humming, its workers assembling the future according to your decree. See wealth forming, opportunity aligning, peace expanding. Know it is done. In time, the evidence will appear. The outer world will rearrange itself to reflect your inner command. People will sense your quiet certainty and treat you with new respect. Circumstances will move with a rhythm that favors your plans. You will find that chance no longer rules your days. Law does. And when that day comes, you will look back and understand that the true beginning of your fortune was not a business, not a meeting, not a discovery. It was the silent hour when you decided to think deliberately. That moment awakened the giant within, and from that moment forward, life could never again deny you. For the law is eternal. All riches are first imagined, then believed, then built. Part 2, the law of mental gold. Faith is the gold of the mind. It is the one treasure that multiplies by use and vanishes by neglect. The man who learns to believe as firmly as he breathes has already discovered the secret that built every empire, invented every marvel, and raised every man from mediocrity to mastery. Faith is not a feeling that visits and departs. It is a discipline, a craft, an art of commanding the unseen until it shapes the scene. You cannot hold faith in your hands, yet it holds every fortune in its grasp. You cannot measure it by weight or by sound, yet the vibration of one mind burning with faith can move nations. The weak man calls faith imagination. The wise man calls imagination faith in rehearsal. Faith is the mental alchemy that changes every idea into its golden equivalent. It turns vision into plan, and plan into fact. When I speak of faith, I do not mean blind belief in chance or vague hope for luck. I mean deliberate conviction in the power of law. Faith is not ignorance of obstacles. It is mastery over them. The man of faith does not deny the mountain. He simply begins to climb it with the calm certainty that each step obeys an invisible order. The doubter stands at the base and prays for proof. The believer moves upward and becomes it. The subconscious mind is the mint in which this mental gold is struck. Each thought you impress upon it receives a value, and that value determines your fortune. Thoughts backed by fear are counterfeit. They circulate poverty. Thoughts backed by faith are genuine. They circulate success. You are the treasure of your own mind. Each day you issue currency to your future, some of it worthless, some of it pure. Thomas Edison understood this principle so completely that failure could not exist in his vocabulary. He believed in electricity as fact long before the world could see it. To him, the unseen law was as real as a lamp on his desk. Others saw darkness. He saw energy waiting for obedience. When he was asked how he endured thousands of failures, he smiled and said, "I have discovered 1,000 ways that will not work." To most, that sounded like persistence. To the wise, it was faith, applied, disciplined, and organized. Faith, when properly used, becomes a system. It is not emotion alone, it is habit. The man of faith repeats truth until his subconscious accepts it as law. Each repetition engraves the belief deeper until thought becomes instinct, and instinct becomes power. Just as gold must be refined by heat, faith must be strengthened by repetition. The furnace of emotion melts resistance. The hammer of discipline shapes conviction. Consider how easily doubt corrodes this process. Doubt is rust on the machinery of thought. A single day of fear can undo a week of building. The mind, like metal, requires polishing. Faith must be renewed daily, for it is not a single act. It is a state of vibration maintained by attention. The man who tends his faith each morning begins the day rich. The man who neglects it ends the day bankrupt. You may think of faith as the unseen partner in every enterprise. When Carnegie built his empire of steel, faith was his first investment. When Ford built his motor car, faith was his first engine. When Edison brought light to the world, faith was his first filament. None of them waited for proof. They began with conviction, then worked backward from belief to result. Faith was the architect. Effort merely followed the blueprint. Faith is not only internal, it radiates outward as unseen influence. Others sense it before you speak a word. There is a certain composure about the man who believes. His tone carries no apology, his gaze no uncertainty. He does not argue because he knows that truth does not debate, it declares. His presence commands cooperation, not through force, but through harmony. People trust the man whose confidence mirrors their unspoken need for direction. This is why faith builds leadership. Leadership is not born of authority, it is born of conviction. The follower feels safe in the presence of the man who knows, for faith emits order, and order calms confusion. In business, in friendship, in creation, the man of faith governs through certainty. Others lend him their energy because his vibration promises success. To train faith, begin as you would train muscle. Set aside 10 minutes each morning to repeat one prosperous thought with full emotion. Choose a statement of truth and live in it until you feel it breathing through you. Say, "My faith is my fortune. I believe, therefore I build." Speak it until it becomes tone rather than sentence, until its rhythm is the pulse of your being. Then act in harmony with it, even if your senses deny its reality. Every act of faith builds strength, just as every act of doubt builds weakness. When you believe in spite of evidence, You teach your mind to obey your command rather than circumstance. In that obedience lies power. The world bends to the man who bends his mind to law. You cannot serve two masters, fear and faith. One will always rule the other. Choose your master, and you choose your destiny. Doubt argues, faith commands. Doubt hesitates, faith decides. Doubt hopes for rescue, faith moves in order. If you wish to change your fortune, stop discussing obstacles and begin repeating outcomes. Speak of what shall be as if it were already so. The subconscious does not know tense. It acts only upon the strength of belief. Every great man has spoken his future into being. Think of faith as vibration. When your thought vibrates with confidence, it draws to itself all that is in tune with its frequency. The fearful man attracts more fear. The courageous man attracts opportunity. You cannot build wealth on the vibration of worry. You must vibrate with the feeling of success. Even before you see results, act as one who knows they are inevitable. Law has no choice but to obey sustained conviction. Edison did not ask for permission to invent light. He assumed its existence and bent law until it revealed itself. Faith is assumption disciplined into certainty. The man of faith does not demand miracles. He creates them by obedience to principle. The law of electricity was not made for Edison. It was always there, awaiting discovery by a mind that believed. So too, the laws of wealth await the man who dares to use them. To the man of doubt, life is a series of random events. To the man of faith, life is divine order revealing itself step by step. One sees confusion, the other sees direction. One complains of chance, the other commands circumstance. The difference lies not in the world, but in the belief behind the eyes. Understand this clearly. Faith is not noise. It is calm, steady, organized energy. It does not shout, it radiates. It does not rush, it directs. It does not beg, it knows. The man of faith walks through storms untouched because he understands that the storm is part of the plan. His calmness becomes a wall. His belief becomes armor. Others panic while he proceeds, and when the tempest clears, he stands where others fled. Faith also requires purity of motive. The universe rewards belief that serves more than self. When faith is joined with purpose and goodwill, it multiplies. When tainted by greed or deceit, it collapses. The law gives to those who give through it. The man who believes for the benefit of many channels infinite intelligence. The man who believes only for personal gain interrupts the flow. You will know your faith is pure when peace accompanies it. False faith is noisy, anxious, defensive. True faith is tranquil, patient, and unyielding. The one pretends to believe, the other lives belief. You need not tell others of your conviction, they will feel it. Your silence will speak louder than their boasting. Make a habit of testing your thoughts. Ask, does this idea increase my belief or decrease it? Every mental picture that strengthens confidence belongs in your mind. Every picture that weakens it must be cast out. Guard your mind as you would guard gold, for faith is the only wealth that cannot be stolen. Do not wait for circumstances to justify belief. Believe to justify circumstances. The man who says, when I succeed, I will have faith, never does. The man who says, because I have faith, I shall succeed, always will. This is not superstition, it is sequence. The seed must come before the harvest. To practice the law of mental gold, create a daily rhythm. Upon waking, speak your definite command of success. Throughout the day, observe your tone, your thought, your feeling. Keep them aligned with your goal. When doubt arises, do not wrestle it. Replace it. Say aloud, I believe, therefore I build. At night before rest, repeat this truth once more until the words dissolve into sleep. The subconscious will accept it as command and labor while you rest. Faith grows in darkness. The farmer does not dig up the seed each morning to check its progress. He trusts the process and continues watering. Likewise, trust the unseen work of your mind. Your belief is the seed, your repetition the watering. In time, results must appear. When faith becomes habit, wealth becomes inevitable. You will begin to notice coincidences aligning in your favor, doors opening without effort, people arriving at the right moment. This is not magic. It is the magnetic law of belief attracting its own. To the untrained, it looks like chance. To the believer, it is divine order. You will also notice a change in yourself. Your tone will deepen, your manner will steady, your eyes will carry calm. People will begin to ask for your counsel, though you offer none. They will feel your confidence as one feels warmth near a fire. Faith is contagious. The vibration of one believer can awaken 100 sleeping minds. There will come a day when you will look back at all you feared and smile at its smallness. You will see that faith was never about size, but about direction. A drop of faith applied to truth outweighs oceans of doubt. From that moment, you will move through life not as one seeking proof, but as one creating it. Faith, when perfected, becomes peace. You no longer chase wealth, you allow it. You no longer argue with delay. You trust its rhythm. You no longer struggle to believe. You live in belief as naturally as you breathe. And in that quiet confidence, all things flow to you in their proper season. Repeat now within yourself the golden decree of mind. My faith is my fortune. I believe, therefore I build. Let these words become your nightly signature. As you sleep, your subconscious will take them as command. It will turn them over like a craftsman polishing gold, removing every particle of fear until only purity remains. When you awaken, you will feel it, the calm conviction that no circumstance can defeat the man who believes. For faith is the law of mental gold, and he who mines within shall never know poverty again. Part 3. The Master Law of Definite Thought. Every man walks the earth surrounded by an invisible army of his own thoughts. They march according to the orders he gives them, some straight, some scattered, some at war with each other. The undisciplined mind lives as a battlefield. The definite mind lives as a kingdom. The difference between confusion and command lies in one principle: definiteness of thought. A drifting mind is a wasted estate. It spends its power like a gambler, tossing coins, hoping for luck to favor him. But life does not reward luck. It rewards law. The man who knows what he wants and why he wants it compels the forces of life to assist him. Indefinite thought builds nothing because law cannot serve contradiction. A seed planted today and uprooted tomorrow cannot grow. Definiteness of thought is not mere planning. It is the concentration of all mental energy around a single center. It is thought gathered into focus, emotion trained into direction, and will applied without hesitation. The moment a man decides precisely what he desires, he ceases to drift. His mind stops wandering and begins to attract. The world rearranges itself around his decision as surely as metal moves to magnet. Henry Ford once fixed a thought so definite that no ridicule could dislodge it. His idea was simple: a car for the multitude. At the time, it sounded foolish. Automobiles were toys for the wealthy, fragile contraptions for sport. Yet Ford saw a vision so clear that no mockery could obscure it. He repeated it daily, refined it nightly, and built his entire organization upon that thought. The thought became machine. The machine became empire. Ford's genius was not mechanical, but mental. He understood that thought, when definite, becomes a spiritual magnet. Every person, every idea, every material element necessary to fulfill it is drawn forth by law. When a man holds one idea long enough with faith, he enters harmony with infinite intelligence itself, which then works through him. Definite thought is a prayer answered in advance. Indecision, by contrast, is mental poverty. It is the chief thief of time, energy, and opportunity. The man who hesitates twice pays the price of delay. Each day he reconsiders. He divides his mind in two, half advancing, half retreating, until both halves cancel each other. The indecisive mind builds castles in the air and wonders why the ground remains empty. It dreams but never constructs. To think definitely is to command. To think vaguely is to beg. The man who says, "I will someday be successful," has already confessed confusion. The man who says, "I will build this enterprise within this year serving this purpose," has already issued a law to the universe. Infinite intelligence does not respond to uncertainty. It responds to decision. But decision must be built upon understanding. Definiteness does not mean stubbornness. It means clarity. The definite thinker knows what he wants because he has studied himself. He understands his strengths, his calling, his motive. He aligns desire with purpose and purpose with service. The confused man wants wealth for display. The definite man wants wealth for construction. The first pursues vanity. The second builds civilization. Each morning the definite thinker writes his purpose anew. He reads it aloud until it burns like a brand upon his mind. He carries it through the day as a soldier carries orders. He measures each act by one question. Does this advance my aim? If it does, he acts. If it does not, he refuses. His energy accumulates because it is never scattered. This is the mathematics of success. Concentration multiplies. Diffusion divides. The mind, like sunlight, warms little when scattered, but burns when concentrated through a single lens. The definite man turns his attention into fire. Every plan he touches ignites. Every obstacle melts. To the world, he seems lucky. To law, he is merely obedient. Luck is the name the drifting give to discipline. Definite thought is also moral power. It eliminates confusion of motive. The man who knows what he stands for cannot be bought or persuaded from his path. His integrity becomes visible in his calmness. When others gossip, he is silent. When others rush, he measures. His definiteness gives him dignity, and dignity commands respect. People follow him not for his wealth, but for his certainty. Yet definiteness requires courage. To decide means to cut away alternatives. The very word decision comes from a root meaning to cut off. It is mental surgery, the removal of indecision and fear. Each choice eliminates the noise of the unnecessary. Weak men keep options open. Strong men close them and proceed. Law favors motion. Think of Ford once more. When advisors warned him that a car for the common man was impossible, he simply said, "We will build it anyway." When engineers told him the 8-cylinder engine could not be made, he replied, "Produce it." He was not arrogant. He was definite. His belief drew forth inventions that had never existed. The law of definiteness gave birth to machinery that reshaped the world. Every invention, every discovery, every fortune begins as one clear thought that refuses distraction. The thought becomes plan. The plan becomes habit. The habit becomes destiny. The world does not resist the man who knows what he wants. It yields. Confusion is the only true obstacle. Definiteness also organizes emotion. The drifting man feels everything, believes everything, and accomplishes nothing. His emotions are wild horses without harness. The definite man tames them into service. He feels deeply but always in one direction. His enthusiasm becomes strength because it is guided by purpose. Emotion without direction burns out. Emotion under direction burns through. Many people fail not because they lack effort, but because they scatter it. They try many things half-heartedly, never mastering one. They chase trends, copy others, and wonder why success eludes them. They are like ships changing course at every wind. The definite man fixes his compass once and sails until he reaches land. The storm may delay him, but it cannot turn him. To cultivate definiteness, begin with a single command. What do I want and why? Write it with precision. The clearer the thought, the stronger the current it releases. The subconscious mind must have exact orders. It is a perfect servant, but a poor master. Vague instructions confuse it. Clear ones mobilize it. A definite purpose repeated daily becomes a living intelligence guiding all action. Repeat your purpose aloud each morning and night. Let it enter your voice, your gesture, your very manner. When you speak it, believe it. When you believe it, act it. Soon every thought will conform to that command. Every doubt will fade because it will have no room to live. Your mind cannot serve two purposes any more than your body can walk two roads at once. The definite man is not easily distracted by criticism. He hears opinions, but he does not obey them. The world's noise cannot penetrate a mind closed by decision. Critics may laugh at him today, but they will study him tomorrow. The masses always mock vision until they see its fruits. When the results appear, they call it genius. Definiteness of thought also protects against temptation. The mind that knows its direction cannot be lured by every glittering distraction. The man of purpose saves his strength, his speech, his time. His days move with the rhythm of intention. He has mastered the art of saying no, not from pride, but from principle. He knows that each no strengthens his next yes. As definiteness deepens, life begins to simplify. Problems shrink, choices become clear, fear evaporates. You no longer ask, can I succeed, but how soon shall I? The subconscious begins arranging circumstances like a servant preparing a feast. You need only supply the menu. Infinite intelligence delights in a definite mind. It cannot help a drifting one. Definiteness is faith made practical. It is belief translated into blueprint. It is the quiet authority that turns someday into now. To think definitely is to act before proof appears, knowing that law fulfills every clear command. The man of definiteness does not beg for opportunity. He builds it. His decisions are his prayers and his actions their answers. Each time you fix a clear thought and obey it, you strengthen your mental muscle. Each time you hesitate, you weaken it. Decision grows through use. Begin with small acts. Decide your schedule, your reading, your associations. Keep every promise you make to yourself. This builds inner authority. The man who cannot command himself will never command circumstance. In time, you will notice how people respond differently to you. They will sense order in your tone, reliability in your word, direction in your presence. Businessmen will trust you without proof. Friends will respect you without argument. And opportunities will appear where before there was none. Law favors definiteness because definiteness resembles law itself. Definiteness also creates serenity. When you know where you're going, you no longer rush. The anxious man exhausts himself trying to decide. The definite man conserves his strength by having already decided. Peace is not inactivity. It is direction without conflict. The definite mind moves steadily, calmly, like a river carving stone. Its quiet persistence shapes the world. Remember, the greatest waste of life is indecision. Each hour spent wondering could be spent building. Each day of hesitation is a day stolen from progress. You cannot drift into greatness. You must decide into it. Decide once, truly, and the energy you free from doubt will accomplish what years of hesitation never could. Say now within yourself, I think clearly, I act definitely, I command wealth through precision. Let it become your inner decree. Write your purpose. Read it aloud each dawn. Review it each night. Hold it until it becomes the pulse of your being. Soon, you will no longer ask how success will come. You will know that it must. For law obeys definiteness as surely as shadow obeys light. The world belongs to the man who knows precisely what he desires and moves in harmony with that knowledge. Decide, and the universe decides with you. Part 4. The Invisible Engine of Desire. Desire is the invisible engine of every empire, the pulse of creation that moves men from thought into achievement. Nothing begins until desire stirs, and nothing endures unless desire continues. It is the divine current that animates faith, fuels persistence, and transforms a silent dream into a visible fact. You may master every law of success, but without desire you will remain a well-built machine without fire. There is a difference between wishing and wanting. Wishing is idle motion. Wanting is organized flame. Wishing says, I would like to have. Desire declares, I will have. The weak man wishes because he fears disappointment. The strong man desires because he sees through law. The one prays for opportunity. The other commands it through the vibration of his purpose. Every atom in the universe moves in obedience to some desire. The sea desires the sun. The river desires the sea. The mind of man desires to create. This is not greed. It is divine progression. Growth itself is desire in motion. To repress noble desire is to deny the intelligence that gave you life. To direct it is to harmonize with infinite intelligence. The man who desires rightly becomes co-creator with the source that formed him. The poor man calls desire dangerous. The wise man calls it sacred. Desire is the heartbeat of evolution, the builder of every civilization. But only when disciplined by faith does it build. When corrupted by fear, it destroys. Desire ungoverned becomes appetite. Desire organized becomes destiny. The first consumes, the second creates. Rockefeller's fortune was not born from oil. It was born from an idea disciplined by desire. From the moment he entered business, he sought not profit, but perfection. He desired efficiency as the sculptor desires form. Every barrel, every process, every plan served that single hunger for order. The wealth that followed was only the echo of his desire made definite. Desire is the true electricity of thought. It gives energy to faith and life to imagination. Thought without desire is cold metal. Desire heats it until it bends the universe to its will. But you must learn to control its flame. Too little heat and the metal remains rigid. Too much and it melts into chaos. The balanced mind regulates desire as an engineer regulates fire, strong enough to move the engine, calm enough to prevent destruction. Most men live with their desires asleep. They smother them beneath routine, caution, or fear of criticism. They call it humility to want little, but in truth it is cowardice. The man who refuses to desire deeply has surrendered before he has begun. He drifts in mediocrity, waiting for life to give him what it reserves only for those who burn for it. To awaken greatness, you must first awaken desire. Go alone into silence and ask yourself, what do I truly want? Do not answer with words borrowed from society. Ask until the reply comes from within, until it burns with certainty. You will know the true desire when it excites your imagination, strengthens your courage, and silences your fear. That desire is the voice of your purpose. Desire is divine when it serves creation. Every great benefactor of mankind has been possessed by a sacred want. Edison to bring light, Ford to give motion, Carnegie to build opportunity. Their desires were not for possession, but for expression. They wished not to have, but to become. Their fortunes were only symbols of usefulness magnified by law. Emotion gives life to thought, and desire is emotion organized toward purpose. The subconscious obeys feeling before it obeys reason. You may think 1,000 truths coldly and see no result, but one truth felt deeply will move mountains. The heart is the dynamo that powers the machinery of the mind. When you feel success is already achieved, the subconscious begins constructing it in silence. The man who fears to desire is like a farmer who refuses to plant. The soil of the subconscious remains fertile whether you use it or not. If you neglect it, weeds of worry grow. If you cultivate it, harvest follows. Every thought repeated with emotion is a seed. Every feeling sustained is water. Every action aligned is sunlight. You cannot escape the law of growth. You can only decide what to grow. Desire must be disciplined, for without direction it becomes greed, obsession, or restlessness. The rich man you should imitate is not the one who hungers for possession, but the one who hungers for mastery. The wise desire not luxury, but freedom, not applause, but power to serve. The mature desire burns steady and clear. It does not flare in impulse or fade in disappointment. This is why the truly rich are calm. Their desire has matured into conviction. They no longer chase, they attract. They no longer beg for success, they embody it. Their quiet confidence is the still flame that lights the way for others. They understand that true desire is not a shout, it is a vow whispered to law and obeyed without hesitation. You must learn the method of emotionalization. Each night before rest, see your definite purpose as complete. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace that would accompany its realization. Do not plead for it. Claim it. Act in imagination as though you were already living it. The subconscious accepts this as fact and begins to rearrange every detail of your reality to match it. This is not fantasy, it is discipline. The great difference between dreamers and creators is repetition. Dreamers feel once and forget. Creators feel daily until the feeling becomes identity. The subconscious builds in proportion to emotional intensity and duration. The longer you hold the feeling of success, the faster success must appear. Desire, faith, and persistence form the trinity of achievement. Desire supplies fire. Faith gives direction. Persistence keeps the flame alive through storms. Without desire, faith has no fuel. Without faith, desire burns aimlessly. Without persistence, both fade in darkness. These three, harmonized, create invincible power. You may have been taught that desire is dangerous, that it leads to pride or disappointment. That is false humility, the teaching of fear disguised as virtue. The only danger in desire lies in its misuse. If directed toward selfish ends, it collapses under its own weight. If dedicated to service, it becomes divine power in motion. The man who desires to lift others inevitably lifts himself. Remember always, the subconscious does not distinguish between noble and selfish desires. It fulfills whatever is repeated with conviction. It is your task to choose your motive wisely. The higher the motive, the purer the power. Carnegie built his fortune upon service and spent his later years giving it back. He understood that desire must complete its circle: creation, realization, contribution. This rhythm preserves balance and peace. When your desire serves life, life serves your desire. Infinite intelligence delights in expansion. Every new idea, every new business, every act of creation is the universe expressing itself through you. To desire magnificently is to cooperate with the very reason for existence. Desire also purifies character. When you want something strongly enough to pay the price in effort, patience, and discipline, you refine your will. The process of pursuit chisels weakness from your nature. That is why great ambition ennobles even before it succeeds. The struggle strengthens the spirit. You will know your desire is right when persistence feels natural and waiting feels purposeful. When impatience disappears and calm urgency replaces it, you have entered the vibration of creation. The man who burns with undisciplined want is anxious. The man who burns with definite desire is serene. He knows his dream is inevitable. He does not beg the soil to sprout. Practice this law daily. Each morning, write one statement of what you truly desire. Read it aloud with emotion. Visualize it as complete. Then act in harmony with that image throughout the day. At night, close your eyes and repeat it again with gratitude, as though thanking law for what already exists in unseen form. Do this until you no longer hope, but know. You will feel a shift. The thought will cease to be an idea and become a certainty. You will wake each morning with quiet direction, your mind alert to opportunity, your steps guided by invisible coordination. Coincidences will appear, helpers will arrive, obstacles will rearrange themselves. Desire, once disciplined, becomes magnetic. Others will sense it in you. They will not understand it, but they will feel it. They will trust you without knowing why. The man of desire possesses an invisible gravity. He pulls without effort, persuades without argument, leads without demand. His confidence commands cooperation. He no longer needs to announce his dreams. The world works with him to fulfill them. If you doubt this law, observe a man without desire. He drifts, hesitates, depends upon others for permission. His speech lacks conviction. His eyes lack light. His presence carries no influence. Without desire, even intelligence decays into passivity. The universe cannot help a man who will not move. Do not fear wanting much. Fear only wanting nothing. Small desires create small lives. Life itself urges you to grow, to build, to extend your reach. To suppress that impulse is to oppose creation. But let your desire be pure, born of purpose, disciplined by faith, and sustained by service. That is the formula of greatness. Repeat often, my desire is disciplined fire. It burns but never destroys. Say it when you wake, when you falter, when you rest. Feel the truth of it. Each repetition strengthens control. Each feeling renews energy. You will come to sense that your desire is not merely yours. It is life itself seeking expression through you. In time, the world will mirror your inner fire. Opportunities will appear where once there was emptiness. People will be drawn to your certainty as cold hands to a flame. They will sense in you what every soul craves, a man who knows what he wants and dares to want it nobly. That is power. That is leadership. So let desire live within you as a sacred flame. Feed it with purpose, protect it with faith, and guide it with discipline. For when desire and law walk together, nothing in heaven or earth can stand against them. Part 5. The discipline of inner command. Before a man may command fortune, he must first command himself. The world bends not to wishes, but to order, and order begins within. The mind without discipline is like a city without walls, exposed to every invading doubt and passing emotion. But the man who rules his thought rules his destiny, for he is aligned with the highest law, the law of self-government. The undisciplined man exhausts his strength fighting shadows. He argues with circumstance, resists correction, and wastes his creative force in the storms of emotion. He is not defeated by others, but by the rebellion of his own faculties. His thoughts pull him one way, his feelings another, his will sleeps in confusion. He mistakes movement for progress and passion for purpose. Until his mind obeys him, he cannot command results. Self-control is the iron gate of power. It does not close upon liberty, it opens to mastery. The weak man believes freedom means doing as he pleases. The wise man knows freedom means doing as he decides. The first is a slave to appetite, mood, and habit. The second is master of each. He rises above the animal within and becomes a conscious creator. This victory is greater than wealth, for all other victories depend upon it. You may conquer cities, gain crowns, and gather riches. But if you are defeated by anger, fear, or vanity, you remain poor in spirit. Wealth cannot stay with one who cannot govern himself. Law refuses to entrust abundance to chaos. The universe respects only the mind that mirrors its own order. When your thought and feeling move as one, your world follows. When they rebel against each other, your life reflects that discord. Abraham Lincoln was not remembered for his wealth, but for his mastery of self. While storms of hatred and war surrounded him, he stood calm, patient, and deliberate. His power lay not in force, but in restraint. He answered anger with quietness and criticism with labor. In his silence there was strength. In his composure, command. The man who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. Discipline begins with thought. Each morning, test your mind as a commander.